Alright, people. Ow! It is September 28th, 2011, Wednesday, 8:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and yes, I have my glasses off, and I am that fucking blind to where I'm practically French kissing my monitor, trying to figure out what fucking time it is. All I know, it's morning. It's morning, and it's Wednesday, and but, yeah, you know, I was kind of caught in a conversation of sorts with a collection of my peeps last night, and, you know, I'm not going to name names or anything like that because it's kind of lame. I can explain the situation without dropping names, because this happens quite frequently, not just in, you know, online type scenarios. It also occurs in the real world a lot, and it's about prejudices, it's about preconceived notions, and it's about basically general human stupidity. And what happened was, a good friend of mine was venting about her day, and you know, her kid, first let me explain, okay? Her kids are absolutely adorable. They are just about, you know, every parent thinks their kids are the most adorable in the world. Well, these kids come to a very close second. So, you know, and what's really strange about this is I've talked to her on webcam. I've met her kids, and then she's like, oh, by the way, the youngest has this, you know, learning disability, and the other one has this. And I'm like, no, they don't. And she's like, yeah, they do. They've been tested. They, you know, they get their tutoring. And I'm just like, could have fooled my ass, because they seem totally fine to me. Now, here's a little bit of a backstory about me. I have dysnuria, and I might have ADD. I don't know. All I know is I get distracted easily. So, with those two things, and some shrink tried to tell me that I was autistic, and I'm like, dude, I'm an adult now. You can't tell me that I have shit, because it ain't gonna do anything now. I'm out of school. And, you know, but the shrink was like, well, you know, you ought to look into it. And I was like, dude, you're not even my shrink. You're somebody else's. I'm just here for support. You know, don't diagnose my ass. Help them. You know, that's why their insurance is paying you, not me. But, you know, how I see it is that learning disabilities, the little politically correct little term, I don't see them as disabilities. I see them as different ways of learning. Okay? You've got some kids that learn, they can read a manual from cover to cover and then go fix your car. Okay? You've got some kids where they'll watch a movie about fixing a car, and after that movie's done, boop, go out there and check what's under your hood and know exactly what's wrong and what's going on. There's other kids that they have to combine those two. Okay? For me, with dysnuria, is numbers, to me, are like a totally different fucking language. Okay? I know how to add and subtract and multiply and all that shit. I mean, come on, that's, you know, that's elementary. But when it gets to like the higher math, like algebra 2, and stuff like that, it gets a little bit wonky. Now, if the numbers are related to shapes, I'm all over it like white on rice, okay? Because, you know, I can look at a triangle and I go, okay, how does this triangle fit? And I can rotate the shapes in my head and figure them out and everything like that. But if you ask me to explain, I'm just like, they just do, because I don't know how to explain how I can see it in my mind. Trigonometry and geometry were my two favorite math subjects. When I got into pre-calc, I looked at the teacher and I was like, you gotta be fucking nuts. I'm not doing this. And she was like, but you do. You gotta learn this. You're gonna use it someday. I'm like, no, I'm a writer, not a freaking, you know, architect and shit. I mean, they do, you know, they do the buildings. I'm gonna sit in the buildings and write. And she was like, no, you know, and I was like, look, I'm never going to know what a hyperbole does or why. Sine and cosine, I really could give a fuck about. And the X, Y, and Z axis, I really don't give a fuck. And she was just like, honey, you gotta learn these. You might use them someday if you're gonna be on a computer. I was like, look, lady, once I'm done with high school, I am never touching a computer again. I am never going to have to use a computer. I'm laughing because it's ridiculous now. I was just like, you know, I was like, I love that you're trying to help me with this, but I just don't get it, and I don't see how I'm going to apply this because I'm not touching a computer again. Once I'm out of high school, that's it. I'm going to write my book and make $1 million and sit pretty. And she was like, okay, you do that, honey. Well, now I am on a webcam telling you this story on a computer, and I play a virtual reality game where you have to know how to adjust the X and Y and Z axis in order to place an object on the grid. Oh, God. So, you know what? My teacher ended up being right after all. You know, but I mean, you know, in the math it actually applies like for cooking and baking and stuff like that. I understand that, because if you don't follow those formulas, you end up with like some really nasty food. And I apologize for my sprinkling of the F word. That was inappropriate and not right. And kids that are watching this, I apologize. I cuss too much, and I should stop. It's a very bad habit to get into, and it's a very tough habit to break. It's kind of like smoking, which in part 2 I will discuss things further, so stay tuned.